So I got to give you an update on U.S.-Korea relations. And if you've been following the story and following my channel, you'll know that Trump has been trying to extort Korea for $350 billion cash up front. Yes, you heard that correctly, cash up front, $350 billion. Korea went to the press today on Bloomberg, the English press, so you can hear it for yourselves. Have a listen.
I understand that the U.S. investment fund has been very difficult to agree on the details. And you've told Secretary Bessent about the feasibility of having so much cash up front. Should we be expecting installments in payments then?
지금 베센트 장관은 그 한국의 외환
Bessent has understood that due to the current state of Korea's foreign exchange market, we cannot pay up front. He understands that. However, regarding how to proceed on this, with negotiations currently underway with the U.S., I ask for your understanding that I cannot yet provide specific details on the plan.
So you heard it for yourself. And the Koreans, to their credit, are polite about it, right? They're trying to like save face and not, act like jerks and be like, dude, you're a bunch of idiots over there in the USA. Why are you begging us for cash? But yeah, that's what it is. It's $350 billion cash up front. And it's the first time that they've really openly talked about it on the English-speaking news. It's been all over the news in Korea, and if you all follow my channel, you'll know this. But yeah, this has been the latest news, right? Trump claims South Korea agreed to pay $350 billion upfront payment. It's like Trump's just making crap up. So he's trying to extort the money, but he's claiming he's like theoretically already got it. And then he tells all his friends, "Oh, I'm so rich because look at all this money Korea gave me." But you're literally hearing it from Korea's like, and that's the finance minister of like, we just can't give you that much cash. Like it's like, I mean, Trump is basically like the guy who, kidnaps your kids or whatever, calls you on the phone and like some weird voice and it's got, uses the voice filter and is like, I need that cash. I need it right now. Right. And then the other thing that Trump is saying on the other side of his mouth is like, he brags how rich everyone is, right, in USA. It's crazy. The whole thing is crazy.
Conversations that I've been having with the White House is like, how do we address that issue to try to clear this up, make it more streamlined?
Kemp expects to have more of those conversations when he meets with Korean officials during his trip, in addition to courting new companies to Georgia.
Kemp, the governor of Georgia, arrives in Korea today, and he's going to try to beg the Koreans to come back and finish the Hyundai plant. People have been asking me for an update. I'm telling you what it is. He arrives today, and the plan is he's going to go to Korean language press and try to convince the public to forgive him. But you got to at least say sorry, which I don't think he's going to do. Who knows? This is why he's coming. We're going to see. This is what it says. It says, in an apparent attempt to address negative public sentiment, you think, I'll tell you the truth, guys, Koreans hate the situation over in Georgia. No one wants to go to Georgia. That's the reality. Like, do you want to go to Georgia and get arrested by ICE? Of course not, right? In an apparent attempt to address negative public sentiment stemming from the mass detention of Korean workers in early September at the construction site in the state, Kemp is also scheduled to join a series of interviews with Korean language newspapers, though he repeatedly does not plan to meet any government officials. Interesting. So you're just going to try to play the, make Korean people like you, but you're not going to go on TV. It just says newspapers. I'm curious if he's going to eventually get on TV. We'll see. I mean, the guy maybe won't show his face on TV. I don't know. I mean, that's what it says. Also says here, industry officials expect the governor will apologize for the immigration rate. Okay, maybe he's going to apologize. We'll see. Or at least express regret over the incident, though skepticism remains that there is little a state government can do in response to federal government policy. So we'll see. Let's listen to more of the situation with the Trump and wanting that cash up front.
Bank of Korea Governor Lee Chang-yong said that the maximum amount that can be raised in dollars annually without market disruptions is $20 billion. Are we looking at around those figures right now?
예, 저희들이 maximum.
Yes, the Bank of Korea currently estimates that the maximum amount we can raise without significantly impacting the foreign exchange market is $20 billion.
Okay, and he even said in English, maximum. Okay, they're saying Trump is demanding $350 billion cash up front. Every time I say it, it just sounds so stupid. I feel like I'm Dr. Evil or something. And Korea's like, well, I mean, realistically, 20 billion maximum. That doesn't mean they're actually going to do it, but maximum. And then this is the interesting thing. Look at how the numbers, kind of line up here. U.S. banks are hunting for collateral to back 20 billion Argentinian bailout. So supposedly, Trump keeps telling everyone how rich he is and how rich the USA is and how awesome of a business person he is, right? And then you got Besant, who's negotiating with Korea and Argentina at the same time, as you guys see what's going on here. And I think even a child can kind of figure out the scam that Besant and Trump are running. You guys can see the numbers too, right? Korea's like, maybe the maximum is 20 billion. And then suddenly they start floating this, 20 billion to Argentina. This is just like neighborhood mafia boss robbing, Paul to save Mary or whatever. And then it turns out Mary's sleeping with Johnny, and Johnny's also, Paul's cousin or whatever. And it's got this massive, family fight. And then someone always trying to get the grift. And maybe I got my grift wrong on Trump's situation, because in this situation, Trump is trying to get money from Korea, right? Who he thinks has no power, yet Korea has all the money. And then Trump is trying to make buddy-buddy with Argentina, who's like a bottomless black hole who keeps asking for more money. And then you got Scott Bessent, who's got a bunch of buddies who will benefit from Argentina. He's got hedge fund buddies who got, asses exposed down there. You can see what's going on. And then when you see Trump talk about it, listen to Trump talk about this stuff. He acts like they're all rich.
Rich country again. We'll start paying off debt. We'll do a lot of things. We'll probably make a distribution out of some of the tariff money. I think we're going to make a distribution over the next fairly short period of time to people, because we took in so much money from the tariffs. Just European Union, $650 billion. Japan, $550 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. That's even a lot of money for you guys, right? That's not bad, right? But
yeah, 350 billion. Oh yeah, we got that money, and 500 from Japan. It's like they act like they're so rich, but then literally the money's supposed to be coming from Korea, and you're hearing what Korea says, like, well, maximum 20 billion. That's why this whole thing's a joke. Like when you leave out the international news and you only listen to Trumpers, then you're barely getting any of the story at all. This is why it's important, right? Don't you think it matters? Like, don't just ask the kidnapper. Talk about the people who you're kidnapping, I guess, in this situation. Let's listen to more.
What does that mean for upfront payments, though? Does that mean front-loading some and then paying annually?
그런 부분
Regarding that aspect, we are keeping various possibilities open for the foreign exchange market and are currently in negotiations with the United States.
Because that's one of the options that you've talked to Secretary Bessent and to Washington about.
그것은 제가 지금 확인하기가 어렵고요. 다만
I cannot confirm that at this time. However, Secretary Bessent fully understands the difficulties in Korea's FX market and is having internal discussions on how to respond to the situation.
Now, certainly, and this is diplomacy, right? You don't necessarily lay all of your cards on the table, but they're signaling to be like, yo, Bessent, we told you already what's up. But they, like I said, they always say this stuff really, really polite. But evidently, this is interesting. Now, this is coming from the U.S. side. Supposedly, the U.S. is like, okay, if you can't give us the $350 billion cash, how about $25 billion? Seriously. Exclusive. South Korea, U.S. discussed $25 billion annual investment in tariff talks. Okay. And I guess they want an annual payment. This is the details. This is news. This just came out. It was reported on the 22nd, so it's today, South Korea to invest $25 billion. This is just talks, so it's not just what they're talking about. $25 billion US dollars annually for 8 years. Okay, so that the USA is trying to get now $200 billion. That's a far cry from the 350, and it's also $25 billion a year for 8 years. But I mean, Trump's gone in 3 years. Plus, Korea can slow walk this whole thing and not hand over any money. I mean, you guys get the point how this could play out. In the U.S. is being discussed between the two countries to reach a resolution in Korea-U.S. tariff negotiations. Basically, Trump put, I think it's 25% tariffs on Korean goods. And he said, if you work out a deal, we'll knock that down to 15%. The whole thing is ridiculous. And again, this is about tariffs. And then it says here, quote, out of $350 billion US dollars, $150 billion would be covered through credit guarantees. Okay. And Korea would invest $200 billion. I heard that this proposal reflects the U.S. side's intention. So I guess we're not asking for the upfront, even though Trump keeps talking about it. But and this is the thing I want to think about. Okay, so the USA is like, okay, I want that 25. The other numbers we were hearing were 20, but I wonder where the other 5 could be going. And then I just want to remind you this situation. Kremlin envoy proposes a Putin-Trump tunnel to link Russia and U.S. with Elon Musk's help. This is all part of Trump's game plan here, right? figure out your retirement home in Argentina, send money down there, and also theoretically have an escape plan to Russia and build a tunnel. Seriously, like these are our headlines. This is how ridiculous this stuff is. I mean, Trump is obviously a criminal. This is so obvious, but I guess to the MAGA people, it's not obvious. But literally, that's why I show you guys this stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this to where you're talking about a U.S. president demanding cash up front. Does that even make sense? Let's watch some more.
I'm understanding then that this option is still alive. If that's the case, when it comes to perhaps the structure, could it be something similar as to the Argentina style going through the Treasury instead of directly from the Fed?
지금 이 통화 사업에 대해서는 우리가
Regarding the currency swap, we're not doing it because we lack short-term foreign reserves like Argentina. It's a situation where Korea needs foreign currency to make long-term investments as requested by the U.S. So the U.S. must provide the lacking foreign currency. Therefore, it doesn't align with the conventional short-term currency swap structure. So, regarding that aspect, if we were to engage in a currency swap arrangement with the U.S., there are further points that require discussion.
I don't know if we're going to be swapping billions of dollars with each other or not. I don't know. And then the idea would be you determine what, exchange and work out some sort of deal that way. But I'm the reason why I'm laughing is just like, it's just part of the culture in Asia. You try to be polite and stuff like that, but you'll, reveal people and insult people in polite ways. It's an Asian culture thing. So it is kind of funny when you talk about this. And I want to show you some contrast. This is Greer. He's going to be talking about China. And just listen how they talk over on Fox News. And this is Greer, the U.S. trade rep. Listen to this stuff.
The market and businesses. Countries with mineral resources need to play a positive role in keeping relevant industrial and supply chains safe and stable and to ensure normal trade and economic cooperation. How do you deal with these people? They put the export controls in place, and now they're essentially blaming the United States.
Right. And this is technology with respect to the rare earth. It's technology that the U.S. invented and pioneered 60 years ago. And China was able to have some of that transfer of technology, which was a mistake, turns out. And so it's completely normal for us, obviously, in the face of Chinese export controls, to diversify and develop other sources.
So that's Greer. And I just want you to hear what he says. And he'll complain about Chinese word salad, and he'll talk about 60 years ago this and long time ago. And the reason why I mention that, like, I want you to hear from own perspective here, is because there's this American arrogance. And let's be honest with you, there's this American arrogance, and there are Americans out there that think that other countries are beneath USA, and that they could, I get pissed off actually, and that other countries could never develop and never go beyond USA. And I just hate to break it to you guys. Other countries can develop, and other countries can work hard. It's a real thing. And I promise you, I live here in Korea. You would be shocked if you saw how the quality of living is so much higher here than USA. You would be shocked. You'd be shocked how much the technology is advanced. You'd be shocked how well the people are treated. It is, everything is different, right? Visit Japan, you'll see the same thing. Visit China, you'll see the same thing. People work really hard there. And that's part of the expectation when you live in Asia, is you're going to work hard, right? The expectation is that, I'm American and I deserve this job because I'm American. Yeah. Right? That's what Americans think. There's like no expectation that you have to work hard and keep developing. And so in America, there's like destroying education. You're talking, well, 60 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Listen to this stuff. It's the American arrogance. And this is a different environment over here. Like, I'm just telling you the truth, guys. Like, Korea, China, Japan, they're always in competition with each other. And it's kind of like, think of it this way. It's kind of like if you're a professional sports team and like the other teams keep loading up on good players every year, you got to keep up. And so I'll just give you an example. I always use the car market as an example, but it is a real thing. Like, Honda and Toyota are legitimate brands. They make great cars over here in Japan. Korea's like, okay, we got Kia and Hyundai. We got to catch up and try to surpass them. And you got over in China, you got like BYD and all their brands coming up. It's a major competition. You can talk about phones, the same situation, right? Samsung's a legitimate company. It's a real company. I can't stress that enough. I mean, many of you probably have Samsung products in your house. And, and then you got the competition over in Japan. They're making cameras. They're actually, Japan is like awesome at cameras. They're like the best in the world. It's a reality. But China, they're over there. They got like this massive population. It's real. They got universities just like all the other countries, and they keep investing in their people. Not only that, it's just a very different culture where you work hard, and you don't necessarily expect I think that like that's part of the American culture. It's like you have this like weird expectation that everyone owes you for everything. It's strange. It's really strange, and it's frankly sick. And I get upset because like I don't think people realize how different it is. You just don't realize it. You don't realize that, for example, if you want to really succeed, you're speaking 2-3 languages. You don't know. I speak 4 languages. I work hard to understand. Like kids study every day a foreign language, right? Sometimes 2 or 3. I'm telling you the truth. Whereas Americans are like, oh, I'm American. I don't speak 1 language. Yeah. Do you guys understand how stupid that sounds? It's a really different culture. It's a really different culture when you live over here. And I just, when I see Fox News and stuff like that, it just represents why USA is falling behind. And I'm just telling you the truth. You can see it. It's really, really different. And this is also, so it's when people say like, why doesn't, Korea come out and just call Trump names? Part of building relationships over a long term of time is you save face. You maintain polite relations. Like you try to keep respect, but it's hard. It's hard against the Americans when you got someone like Trump and Greer and all these people. And what you need, if you want to succeed as USA, work on building partnerships, not just like acting like these people, as I also say it. So I know I get upset here. It's really hard to explain to people who've never been out here, and for people who have, because there's a lot of Americans that do, a lot of Americans come out here and you see it for yourselves. It's a very, very different work ethic. And it's something that I have seen, I've witnessed firsthand. Koreans work hard. They keep developing every year. I'm so impressed. Every time I flip on the news, it's like, oh my God, they're instituting this or instituting that, right? And it could be any number of things, Like, for example, the subway keeps improving every year, or the political fights that we have over is like for reals. I live in Busan, and various neighborhoods fight to get like, hey, can we get the basically equivalent to Amtrak? We call it KTX. Can we get a new station in our neighborhood, right? Those are the kind of political fights that we have. People just like want to expand mass transportation, and people get upset if it doesn't come to their town. It's really different than USA. It's like different types of political battles that we have. Or right now the battle is, are we really giving money to USA? The average citizen's like, don't do it. The average citizen in Korea is like, don't go back and rebuild that plant. Hyundai, the CEO, is actually and the Hyundai company needs to save their investment. It's just a reality. But like even the government's like, yo, you gotta like cut it out because like the regular people don't want it. And so this is actually where the bind is. The Americans created this mess. It's absolutely awful. And I'm just telling you the truth about this stuff. Listen a little bit more, and I'm sorry to get upset, but I just want you to hear a different perspective on this stuff.
Clearly, the impact on South Korean automakers, because the tariffs continue to be, of course, much higher than for Japan, for Europe, who already the U.S. has lifted those levies. What can the government do at this point to support the sector?
일단 단기적으로는 지금
In the short term, the government is providing all possible policy support to automakers and auto parts companies facing difficulties due to these higher tariffs compared to the EU and Japan. We believe that if these negotiations yield some breakthrough, those issues could also be resolved.
And so that's been actually the interesting thing, that the countries that's been talking about is like, the government's like, okay, so how can we compete against European cars and Japanese cars? That's been the discussion. How can we compete against their other cars? There's none of that discussion of like, we deserved, we you have to buy our cars because we're Korean. Like, no one really talks like that. They literally talk about like, okay, there's other real companies out there. Guys, they make great cars in Europe, same way they do in Japan. I'm telling you the truth. You know this. And Korea's always talking about how can we compete with the other world powers. I mean, that's always a discussion. It's just a very, really different culture. And also proud to report, like I saw this, my wife mentioned it the other day, and I'm showing it to you. South Korea's auto exports reach record high as U.S. shipments fall. And basically this means that, yes, we're not selling as many cars to USA, but you know what? We can sell them to Europe. We can sell them to other parts in Asia. But again, it's really competitive. It's really competitive. And so that's why you'll see advances in Korean cars. And you don't know, there's a lot of models here in Korea that don't make it out to the USA for various reasons. You can ask the Americans, like, the Fords and the Chevys, who routinely try to block, and not try, they do. I mean, like BYD's not in USA. You can't buy BYD in USA, right? Because chances are the American manufacturers don't want competition. It's a very different market over here, right? Competition is real. And I know at the end of the day, competition, in my opinion, it's an easy opinion to take, benefits the consumer, right? You always have companies competing to put out the best product at the best value for consumers. So that's my thoughts on this stuff. I'd like to hear yours, and we'll follow the story as Trump wants that cash, but Korea's like, we just can't give it to you. I want to hear your thoughts on this one, and I'll catch you on the next video.